about the Miami Heat when talking to Tracy McGrady and Rachel Nichols on a Showtime interview. And this is what he had to say. They won't make it out of the first round. Short, simple, to the point. He basically relayed that the Miami Heat, even if they get Damian Lillard, because it was about the hypothetical, hey, if they get Damian Lillard, what do you think? And he said they won't make it out of the first round. Now, first off, I mean, Paul Pierce says and does some very questionable things sometimes, so, take that as you may. But beyond that, let's look at it both sides, right? Let's look at it both ways. Now, Miami was just in the NBA Finals as a play-in team that lost the first play-in game and grinded their way all the way until they played just the clearly better team in the Denver Nuggets. This year was just Denver's year. They pretty much ran through everybody, and it was great to see Jokic get his first NBA championship, and they are obviously a threat to repeat. But a lot of people believe, hey, that wasn't a fluke. That is Miami's team. Miami, they grind it out. They work hard. They have two very unselfish stars. They have two guys that are willing to do the dirty work, which is absolutely correct, right? Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are one of the very few sort of just stars. I wouldn't really call them super. I know some people would, but I just feel like superstar gets thrown around far too much. But Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are great. Don't get me wrong. I like them a lot. And they do the dirty work, unlike most guys, right? Most stars on teams or even superstars, they don't really do a lot of the dirty work. It's why you go and get the role guys. It's why you go get the PJ Tucker type player who he is going to do the dirty work. He is going to dive for loose balls. He is going to take the charge. He is going to, go and hit the guy in the mouth type thing. And Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are great at that. But would they have made the NBA Finals had Giannis, didn't get hurt? I don't think so. I don't. I truly believe if Giannis did not get hurt, Miami would have been a first-round exit. Now, if you add Damian Lillard to that situation, because again, that was in regards to Damian Lillard hypothetically being on the Miami Heat, possibly, right? I mean, you never really know. It's all hypothetical. It's all like how you thought, how you figured. Giannis does make an absolute huge impact on that Milwaukee Bucks roster. And then their path beyond that was the New York Knicks, who many people thought that they should have lost to the Cavs anyway. Although I do think the Knicks are a solid team. I don't think that they're great. I don't think they're that much better than Miami or better than Miami at all, which you can claim that they aren't because Miami beat them. And then the Boston Celtics. Look, Boston is far more talented than the Miami Heat, but they just lack mental toughness, quality coaching, and just their stars aren't really the closing stars that you need, right? Jason Tatum completely disappears at times. Jaylen Brown, he can't even dribble the basketball. It's just there's a lot of question marks with the Boston Celtics, but they are a very good team. And look, Miami did beat them after almost blowing a 3-0 lead, which is crazy, but they still ended up pulling out ahead. And who knows if they had Damian Lillard, right? Chances are they probably wouldn't have been in that situation this year. They might have even swept the Boston Celtics. Also, would they have, if they didn't go and end up having to do a grueling Game 7, and let's say they did sweep Boston, right? Do they actually stand a better chance against the Denver Nuggets? Possibly. Could Damian Lillard have been the difference in that Denver Nuggets series? Personally, I don't think so. I don't. But I think it would have been a lot more competitive. I think that they could have at least forced a Game 6, and then, maybe they force a Game 7. And once you get to a Game 7, anything can happen, right? All it takes is for Miami to get hot or something crazy to happen. But even with Damian Lillard this year, right? How much is the quality of the talent on Miami? Right? Because you'd be very top heavy. You'd have Bam Adebayo, you'd have Jimmy Butler. You're losing Tyler Hero in that trade at least. You're probably losing Jovic, right? You may or may not lose Caleb Martin. Hopefully in a perfect world you keep Caleb Martin. You probably lose Vasquez, right? You probably lose Heisman because they're going to want as much young talent as possible if Miami's even able to pull off the deal, right? They're not just going to take Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry and call it a day. No, they don't even want Tyler Hero, so they're probably going to have to find another team to take Tyler Hero to get another first. And then they want players and picks. So most likely you're losing Jovic. You're probably losing Vasquez. You're probably losing Highsmith. So there's 3 guys right there, right? Now, you did get Thomas Bryant. You did get Josh Richardson, who are 2 guys that I think can make an impact for this roster. But again, you're pretty top heavy, right? And so does injuries and lack of depth and those kind of things, do those become a problem, right? Damian Lillard, he hasn't been the healthiest the last several seasons, although if he's on a team like Miami where he doesn't have to do everything, right, where he can kind of just be a scorer, because there's no doubt Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo are a match made in heaven. No doubt about it, right? Because all the things that Damian Lillard is bad at, Bam and Jimmy are great at, and vice versa. All the things that Bam and Jimmy are not great at, Damian Lillard is great at. And so I do think that those 3 make for a very, very solid core. And, even the possibility of them having to take on the Portland Trailblazers, Nurkic, right? Which I actually don't think is a bad idea at all for Miami. I think that is, I almost feel like that's something that they actually need, right? Like, I think if you're Miami, you're kind of open to taking on Nurkic, right? Like, unload Duncan Robinson, unload Kyle Lowry, get rid of the young guys, get rid of the draft picks, go get Nurkic, and then now you have a starting 5 of Damian Lillard. If you can, hopefully you can keep Caleb Martin, but you have Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin, Bam Adebayo, and Nurkic. That is really good, right? That is a really good starting 5. And then off the bench, you'd still have Kevin Love, you'd have Thomas Bryant, Josh Richardson, right? Those are basically going to be your 8 guys that you're running throughout the course of the of the playoffs. And then, can you find a couple nice little quality undrafted guys and stuff that can kind of fill in roles throughout the course of the regular season, right? At that point, I think that they're really good. Now, personally, I don't think, like, if they get Damian Lillard, like, let's say they don't get Nurkic, like, let's just say it's pretty much all the young guys, Tyler Hero, and they also give up the draft picks, right? Okay, fine. Right, you still have Kyle Lowry, let's say, or Duncan Robinson. I think you'd have to give up one of them in the deal just to make salaries work and stuff. But, let's say you have Kyle Lowry, right? Okay, fine. Now, I think you do have a solid enough roster to where you're one of the better teams. I still don't think they're better than Milwaukee. I don't. And I don't think they're better than the Celtics, although, talent-wise, right? Let me phrase that properly. Talent-wise, I don't think that they're better than the Celtics. I absolutely think that they're capable of beating the Celtics because I just think same reason why I thought the Celtics were going to lose to the Golden State Warriors, and the same reason why I thought Miami would beat them. They just lack toughness, they lack mental toughness, and they lost Marcus Smart, who is one of the guys that helped in those departments, right? So I think Boston is in a bit of trouble if they play Miami, but I think if you just take them side by side, I think Boston and Milwaukee are just the better teams, right? I think also Milwaukee, they also have the experience, they have the same level of pedigree, all of that stuff. Now, there are questions about, like, the coaching and all that, right? Because you got a new coach. And so there are definitely some glaring questions about the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. And the Heat, I think it comes down to how well does Damian Lillard actually fit, right? Now, again, on paper, it's a match made in heaven. But that doesn't always translate, right? That isn't always something that we see work out well, right? We've seen lots of players go to teams and it's like, oh man, that's a seamless fit, and it just, for whatever reason, a little awkward, right? And so I do think that Miami will probably let Damian Lillard just be Damian Lillard. So I don't think Damian Lillard will have a hard time adjusting. The beauty of Miami is that Bam and Jimmy are very unselfish, right? So I think, and this is just a guess, which I think is a very educated guess, I think Dame comes in and they just say, how you played in Portland, just do that, right? Look for us. We'll do the dirty work. We'll get our points here and there. We'll play the defense. We'll do all that stuff. Just go drop 30 a night, right? That's all you have to worry about. Go drop 30 a night. And I think that kind of will make it easier for Damian Lillard to come in. But you also never know, right? Like, this is Jimmy's team. Does Jimmy look at it as like, does there, when you get the two Bulls together, right? And they just start bumping heads, right? Like, I don't know. You never know, right? I'm not saying it will happen. I think personally, it'll be fine. I think it'll be like they've been together for years. But again, like down the stretch and stuff, right? Does Jimmy Butler look at it as like, I've always been the guy that takes those shots? Or is he willing to let Damian Lillard do that? I think he will. I think Jimmy Butler will, because we did see him sort of allow other guys to have those moments down the stretch and stuff. So I don't think there will be a huge conflict, but it is. It's very interesting. I think the Miami Heat I think they are definitely a contender. I think they are one of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference, right? If they get Damian Lillard. I do. I think they're one of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference. That doesn't mean that they'll finish in the top 3, because they probably don't care. The only thing that they're going to care about is just getting healthy and being ready for the playoffs, right? As long as they avoid the play-in and they don't have to go through the juggernaut of the play-in, if they finish as the 6th seed, I don't think they care, right? So, but depending on where they finish could depend on who they play in the first round, and if they end up as like the 6th seed and say Milwaukee falls to the 3 seed, then yes, I do think Miami could be a first round exit. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm not saying they can't beat Milwaukee, but you never know, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Milwaukee, right? And then, if they, you get the 4-5 matchup or something like that, right? Like, what if it's, the Sixers or something like that? And it's like, and they do have James Harden, or they do make some big move or something, right? I don't know. But personally, I personally think that they are at worst a second round exit with Damian Lillard, but I do think they are one of the top 3 teams. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think of Damian Lillard on Miami? Do you think that they are a bona fide contender? Do you think that no, they're first, second round exit, conference finals team? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in